Getting started with ChatGPT does or AI does not have to be complicated, or it doesn't require like a 3 month course or a certificate. It literally is just as simple as downloading it and just starting with a, "Hey, I'm stuck. Help me get unstuck."
Hey everyone, welcome to Time to Thrive. This is your host, Bethany Meadows. Today we're joined by Diana Lee, founder of Waggle.ai and the Aligned AF community. Diana is a digital strategist and AI educator helping solopreneurs use technology to streamline operations, align business with personal values, and scale sustainably. Her inspiring journey and expertise in AI and mindset shifts will leave you with actionable insights to transform your entrepreneurial path. Welcome to the show, Diane.
Thank you, Bethany. Oh my
Sorry,
gosh,
it's
that intro.
Diana.
Did
You
you
said
write
Diana.
that?
Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to do this with you.
I'm so
So
glad you're
glad.
here. Well, like always, we're going to do the random questions. So pick me a number between 1 and 5, and that will determine your question.
6.
Between 1 and 5.
Oh,
You're not the first person to do that, but don't feel bad.
3. 3.
3. Okay. What antiquated invention do you still use?
Ooh, what antiquated invention do you still use? I guess I'm a pen and paper girl. I still need to highlight things, print things to literally have it in my hand and circle and color, and that's kinda how I learn the best. And I know there's a lot of folks in the 20s that see me and there's like, "Why would you do it that way?" But it works for me.
No, I'm with you. I have a notepad. My to-do list is pen and paper, and it's just a rolling notepad that just keeps going. When it gets messy, I make it clean, transfer it to the next sheet, make a clean break.
It's
But
organized chaos, and that satisfaction of just checking something off or, like, putting a line through it that you accomplished it, it just you don't get the
yeah,
same through an app, I think.
yes. Have you ever put something on your list just so that you could cross it out?
Hell yeah. Like, things you need to do, like grocery shop. Like, breathe.
Well, let's get started on the show. I know, AI is a big topic right now, and people who are in the smaller, a solopreneur, emerging business, that can be kind of a struggle for them because they may not be, quote unquote techie, right? And so they feel, well, all that automation's great, but that's not for my business because I could never figure out how to do it. But you are actually not always in technology, right? Your background comes from somewhere completely different. So, can you share a little bit about your personal journey and how it led to the creation of Waggle.ai?
Ooh, this can go pretty far back, so I'll try to, condense it as much as I can. I had a very traditional career path in, pharmacy. I did that for almost 12 years, and, I got into it because that was kinda what was expected of me, as a Korean American. Like, you go down either a medical path, a lawyer path, or you marry somebody in that path. So, I became the pharmacist, and I did everything that I was supposed to and, like, my expectations, and, you know, I got it just I always knew I wanted more. 2020, I got into software engineering, and my first job happened to be with Navware, a government agency, a military, a Navy branch, a command in San Diego. And there is where I kind of discovered technology, and it allowed me to be creative rather just being doing tasks all the time. So it allowed me to do like the UI design. I redesigned a lot of the UI interfaces for a lot of the Navy commands, the internal apps. And from there, I just took on every single opportunity as in going into digital transformation and embracing automations. And I got to corporate communications and public affairs. And while I was there, I fell in love with branding. That was also a time when there was instability in my job. So I discovered ChatGPT, not so much to make a business out of it, but truly it was just to rewrite a resume because I was just strapped for time, and it just came out, and this was February 6th, 2023, literally almost 2 years ago.
Early
Tomorrow is
adopter.
my AI-versary, and, yeah, it was the discovery of ChatGPT that turned into so much more. A resume rewrite had me turned into me deep diving into kind of what I envision my dream life looking like. And from there, I made a path to work towards it. And that's kind of what I've done in terms of rebuilding my life post divorce. I'm a single mom with two kids, and time is the most important commodity to me. It's not even money for me. It's truly, I want to be able to be present for my kids
Yeah,
and not have to compromise on that any longer. And that is what I've been building. And I found that this AI, the way that I use AI, I've seen it in others when they start using it to find clarity in a lot of the chaos they have in their lives or even in their businesses. It it gives them hope. Like, it truly gives you have a different outlook on life, because now all the things that you've been told in life where that's not meant for you, you're never going to be able to do that on your own. Now you have a clear path to do that, and the only thing that's left for you is your grit and your determination to do it. So, anybody
yeah.
who is ambitious, anybody who wants more in life, this technology is for you, and it's free. It's available to everybody, and I believe it's going to level things out for the world.
Uh, I'm a brands person. And brand is a big part of what I do, and so I love your name, and I happen to know where it came from, and I think the audience would are probably curious what Waggle would where that originated. Why don't you share a little bit about that?
The Waggle bee communication dance. It's, bees using movement to indicate the food source, and it through like a dance. If you watch it, it's very synchronized, and I really fell in love with the story because of the queen bee. Me being a female, I feel that I am the queen bee. So anybody who wants to be a solopreneur, it's not just gender specific. The ability to bring people together, properly articulate through this technology, and accomplish so much more through a community. It's like a hive mindset is the story
Yeah.
behind Waggle.
Most entrepreneurs don't, come out of high school or come out of college and become entrepreneurs right away. Usually we go out and we, quote unquote, pay our dues. I think it's happening more. I think there's more of a spirit of entrepreneurship in the younger generation.
Mhm.
And, they can live at home and take risks and do those things that we didn't have the option to do. But we have these experiences in a work environment that then translate we have to make that transition to an entrepreneur. So can you talk a little bit because this is pretty recent for
Woo!
you. So talk about, like, with the challenges of that transition and maybe some of the things that you brought over from your work life that's helping you as an entrepreneur.
Woo! My goodness. There have been so many I've had to rewire essentially my entire brain to be who I am today. I am a complete different person today because of entrepreneurship. It's letting go of this dependency of being saved or being provided for, and embracing the fact that it stops at you and you have to pay your own bills and people depend on you. It's
Yeah.
you don't get a lot of support in entrepreneurship around folks who don't understand it. So it's also me learning to find that group, learning how to partner with people, and me exiting a relationship, marriage. I found that in business too, as women in particular, I can't speak to the male experience, but as a woman, I found that a lot of troubles that I had in my relationships kind of carried over into business relationships too, because I didn't have the boundaries. I didn't know how to assert myself and clearly say, this is what the value that I provide. And all those things I've really had to learn. And that's taken a long time to do because it's so ingrained in me and that's been indoctrinated in me from a really young age. I think there's like a cultural element to it as well, where I've been told not to speak up and not to be noisy. So learning how to, yeah, just step into a role that is completely opposite of what I've been told I need to be. I use ChatGPT to do a lot of this, where I would tell it my struggles and be like, "Hey, help me get through this," and it'll help me with affirmations and journaling prompts. And guide me through this and make it tailored to me. So, yeah, that's kind of a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's perfect. I mean, you hit the nail on the head because entrepreneurship is 90% mindset and 10% effort.
Yes.
And people think that's a cliche or just a quote that coaches use to get more business or whatever. But it's true because we
Yes.
carry our baggage. We're human,
Yeah.
and it affects the way that we run our business, the way we lead our teams, the way that we negotiate with vendors, the way we price our products,
Yes.
around our worth. And so it is a
Yeah.
journey. The entrepreneurial um, path is a journey that we take. I don't think we ever arrive, but it is. There's joy in the journey and so much self awareness and so much growth and so much stuff that happens that probably wouldn't have happened if I'd never stepped out into being an entrepreneur. So yeah, I just love that that's where you went with that question. Um,
It's the safety piece. I've started it was almost like a menstrual cycle every month. Like, during the whole like, when I'm trying to figure things out, it's like, you need to pay rent, you need to figure this out, you have to have these things in place so that you can continue to go on this path where I'm freaking out and I'm still applying to all of these other jobs while I'm still trying to do the other thing, and I was spread so thin for about a year, and once I fully committed to it, I mean, there were a lot of downs, but again, there were a lot of ups too, but not just financial ups. It's these growth moments that I had
yeah,
yeah, where I'm like, wow, I made progress. It doesn't show in bank accounts then, but like, I am becoming better and being more comfortable showing up on calls, saying yes to events like these and having podcasts and meeting people like you and as a result of it. So yeah, I'm
there's
really grateful I went through this, and I want the same for my kids and anybody who wants to explore.
there's growth in the struggle, and
Yeah,
the
100%.
entrepreneurial journey can be a struggle at times. It has big highs and big lows, and if you're in the in between where you're just kind of cruising, you're probably not pushing hard enough
Yeah,
because the imposter syndrome comes when we step out of our box. That's when we get uncomfortable, when we push to grow.
yeah.
Yeah, AI is, just the growth has just been record speed. So from you 2 years ago, you were an early adopter. I resisted it. I
Mhm,
was afraid of it. I didn't like it because I'm a creative content creator. I felt like it was trying to do what I was doing, and how could this machine do what I do,
mhm.
as well as I do it, kind of thing. So you're kind of just, I don't know, you just had this I just had an attitude towards it, and I came to realize that it wasn't gonna go away, and that if I didn't embrace it, learn it, understand it, and be able to, use it to my advantage, that I was gonna go away. So, if so for us, entrepreneurs out there who may be unfamiliar with AI, and there are a lot of them because,
There's many.
a lot of us out here are over 40. And so we weren't born with a phone in our hand.
Mhm,
So everything that we've learned as far as technology, we've learned throughout our life.
mhm.
But what are some recognizing that it's not going away, and that if we don't at least embrace and understand how it impacts on our industry and our business, that could ultimately lead to us going away. So, what are some simple, practical ways to start using it to improve a small business?
I worked around among small business owners since I started in July 2023. I started with AI driven systems where, as a solopreneur, if I were to start today and I have my foundation set up, I could really have an operation as a one person, like a one person business. I can have AI agents that kind of handle a lot of it so that I don't need to hire if that's the path I wanted to go. What's scary is for businesses, however, when you hear that is replacement, that you're going to be eliminating people in just get down to that one person to reduce overhead. And my angle with this is no, you have a team. Let's maximize the team allow them to do what they do best and allow them to get out of the manual work so you can scale faster without increasing overhead and use the people that you have. And that has kind of been my angle with AI, where quickest way to get started, let's just do this first. Quickest way to get started, just opening it up and just be like, hey, this is my name. This is my business. This is kind of where I'm stuck right now. I have tried this. It didn't work. I've had some success in this, and I'd like to explore this. Whatever, give it the context. And from there, just say, hey, help me get unstuck and guide me to resolve this or to accomplish a certain goal. And it's rather than thinking of it as like a prompt or something technical or difficult, because a lot of folks, once you hear AI or prompt engineering, there's this shutdown where they're like, okay, this is too hard for me and I don't even want to try it. It truly is as simple as just downloading it on your phone and hitting the mic to listen to you and just be like, hey, I'm so stuck on this. Help me get unstuck. And once you start seeing it read back the content, you're like, okay, this is relatable to me, and it'll start guiding you through your issue and help you get to the next step. And that has been the framework that I use with business owners, and it allows me, the greatest skeptics of this technology, to pick it up and be like, okay, I can see a use case for this because I'm stuck in a lot of things in life and also in business. And I use it for business. I started off with business, but truly it's everything that I do in life. Like, my kids know how to use it to get unstuck in homework problems. It's not like they're like, give me the answer for this. My daughter knows to say, hey, this is my problem. I don't know how to solve it. Walk me through it. And then at the end, I can test around that knowledge so she can apply it to other questions. So I'm using it as an amplifier rather than a replacement or a cheating tool. So yeah, it's just simple as help me get unstuck on something.
Yeah. One of the ways that I really encourage my clients
Mhm.
to use it is in the goal setting process.
Yes.
So I have a methodology that involves 9 categories of goal setting. And so I have them do that exercise, and they might come up with 1 or maybe 2 for each of the things. Honestly, when you go through it, it's hard because you're by yourself. You don't
Right.
have someone to bounce it off of, and it's not really appropriate to bring in your employees to talk about your company goals necessarily, right? And there could be some personal stuff in there, leadership goals and, things like that. So it's nice to have some where you can actually put in those 1 or 2 that you've thought of yourself, but then feed it all into ChatGPT and say, "These are 9 categories of goals. These are ones that I've come up with." Of course, you're gonna explain what kind of business you are and what your ultimate objectives are, and it will help you come up with goals, more goals for you to go, oh, like it might give you 5 more per category, and you might only pick one of those 5, but they might I hadn't thought of that. Like, it's a great brainstorming tool
100%.
to, come if you're having to brainstorm by yourself, it can be difficult. Um, and honestly, you get to the point where you start treating ChatGPT like a person, and, like, I find myself saying "thank you" and "please."
All the time.
I know it's ridiculous, but it just feels like, this is the person that I'm typing with at the other end or whatever. Um, the one of the downsides, I guess, of AI that a lot of people I have concerns about is that we lose that human touch.
Mhm.
And I think, that's a big differentiator for small businesses, over a big corporation is that they can have that personal connection and
Mhm.
that personal touch, as it were, the human touch. So, how do we balance that automation with authenticity?
I see a massive shift into personal branding, and the timing of this with the AI technology being available to us today, I think is really important. Where in the digital space, anything you put out can be copied really, really fast. Anybody can do it. And the personal branding shift, it allows you to understand the audience that you want to connect with better so that you can better reach them. For me, I've been working more with impact driven solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, where it's not just about making money. They want to truly help with transformations in others. And I think a lot of times what we struggle with is articulating things and connecting with our ideal clients. And this technology allows us to do that. Could I show you something really quickly? I think that's going to be the
Yeah,
best way to do it. Yeah. Okay.
there we go.
So within ChatGPT, have you played around GPT with the GPTs yet?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I've built out these little GPTs through my entrepreneurial journey. Like whenever I was stuck on something, I would create a tool that will act as an expert in helping me accomplish a goal. So early on, I was learning about branding, even for myself and for businesses. And I found that if I had this comprehensive document up front, like a brand messaging playbook, I can use this as a starting point to help with strategy in lead generation, client engagement, and everything else. So for this, let's start with I have somebody I'm meeting tomorrow, Little Sisters USA. Based on this URL, help me derive a brand messaging playbook. So what this does is I create these little tools that I can share with others where it gives them the agency to make decisions for them. So I'm not using this as a replacement of an individual or a role. Rather, it's a way for a business owner to delegate work out more effectively. Where now, if you have this playbook in place, you can now pass it off to your marketing team to give clearer instructions to them and help them execute on work that you pass off. Social media manager, whatever that may look like, your website content needs update. Now you can use this as a starting point to then build website copy, use it to build social media calendar or a strategy. And as a solopreneur, this allows you to save a lot of time and money without guessing and just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall. And I think there's a lot of power in that in entrepreneurship today versus the traditional way of doing business.
Yeah, for sure. And custom GPTs are really great for holding the knowledge base of your company,
Right.
all your products and services, who your target audiences are, your brand narrative, um,
Yes.
marketing goals, and objectives, all of that. And if it's contained inside that custom GPT, you don't have to reiterate that every single time that you do a prompt.
Yes.
And so it already knows all those things and responds accordingly, um,
Yes.
with all that information already there. So,
Without having to provide that context over and over again.
yeah.
Um, the authenticity piece, it's you want it to sound like you and you want it to not sound robotic. The way that I show people how to use ChatGPT is for you have a ton of transcripts, I'm sure, from all of your podcast recordings. I
Mhm.
download those, and if you provide that as context to start off with, you can use that to say, ChatGPT, I want to create content for this platform. This is my audience, and about this topic. It already knows your background information, the way you speak, your tonality, your style. Ask it for like some ideas, content ideas. Even go so far as to be like, okay, could you suggest a draft if you have nowhere where to start, and use that as a starting point to revise and make it your own.
Yes. I
So
built a custom GPT for the podcast to repurpose content. So I do exactly that. I take the transcript, I put it into my custom GPT, and it will provide back to me a blog summary of the episode with key
yes,
takeaways. It provides chapter titles, it provides
yes,
YouTube descriptions and descriptions for the audio platforms, and it gives me suggestions for a title of that episode. And so it does. I used to spend so much time doing this manually,
how much? Like
and
what is
a
the time
lot.
savings?
I would say 5 to 6 hours per episode,
Okay, wow.
um, of post production repurposing, and now it takes minutes,
Yeah,
and I can pass it off very quickly.
yeah.
So I can create it, make sure I like it, and then I can pass it off to my team to execute. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, it's an amazing tool, and I think ChatGPT is a good place for people to start. Don't you agree?
100%.
If AI is like you're 0 on AI at this point, just playing with ChatGPT is a game changer, and then once you realize then you can go start thinking about automations and,
Yes.
other ways that it can all work together, either through Zapier or Make.com, or we've had these
Yes.
conversations before, even I.
Yeah.
So, there's some fantastic tools out there, even in the marketing world, for like just put a script in and it will produce a video for you using stock video.
Yes.
Just things that make things go faster and easier for people. Um, I'm all about it. Doing more with less.
Okay, so there's the business side and everything you're doing. I love how it's you understand the ChatGPT side and even the automations, how it builds on that. Because did you start using that tool that I showed you, that I told you about, the
I
FormWise?
have not yet. No, I have not.
Even if you don't use that tool, like you said, you can create a simple form and hook that up with Zapier and
Mhm.
tie it into the ChatGPT, like the OpenAI logic, and create documents like the click of a button. It allows you
Yeah,
to diversify like your offerings as well and get away from just the one-on-ones and have lower ticket, more digital offerings too. So I really love that for that's kind of my focus. But beyond the business side too, it allows you to extract insights. So this is I have a GPT like a it's called a it's like a tool, I guess, where it has past transcripts of mine similar to yours. And I'm going to give it two more and just simply ask it based on my past transcripts, can you extract things I may be missing about myself? And then from here, I can use this for as a starting point to create affirmations, prompt journeys, so that I can now work on certain things. Whereas before, I'm just kind of figuring things out on my own, and it would have taken me forever to get to where I'm at today without it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, once you start using it, it starts unleashing creativity and innovation that was locked up here in your head, but you just didn't
Yes.
have the pathway for it. And it kind of gives you, because once you get into it, it just builds on itself. And one of the things that we did, I just give you an example of that added creativity is when we do a brand narrative for a company now, we actually ask ChatGPT to give us a movie that most aligns with their
Huh.
brand. And so then we call it At the Movies, and we do a whole narrative on how their brand aligns with the story of this, of the movie that they've picked. So it's just fun. It's just fun, and so it does it mean anything? No, but the business owner, I feel like what we give them is a way to talk about their business. You say, "Have you ever seen the movie such and such?" Well, our story is very similar. So it kinda gives them that narrative, to the way to talk about that's relatable.
I
Well,
really like that. You did that for me too.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Your mindset and alignment is a big thing for you.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that a little bit. It's important to align your life and business together.
Mhm.
We are one of the same,
Yeah.
right? Yes. And so what are some practical steps to align business with life?
Be unapologetically your number one advocate for your needs and your well-being. Um,
Mm,
you have to say this is too much. You have to. I had to learn to say I cannot do things by a certain time because I am overwhelmed with everything else I'm saying yes to. And having stepped away from a traditional path and finding alignment, it requires a lot of inner work to find your purpose. Once you find that, just go all in on it. I think I'm not sure I'm answering this correctly, but I personally found that business and personal life is incredibly commingled. If I am not at my best personally, I don't show up 100% at work. Um, so I've learned to prioritize just essentially my well-being and my sleep and my time in the morning to meditate and do gratitude journaling and prepping for the day ahead. Um, it's I think learning to be a little bit more selfish than I was taught to be all my life.
so we talked a little bit at the beginning of the show about how Mindset is 90%, effort
Yeah.
is 10%. That's what
Mhm.
leads to success, and overcoming limiting beliefs
Mhm.
is such a big part of that. What advice would you give to someone who feels stuck or overwhelmed by self-doubt? Because self-doubt hits everybody, except maybe
It's
Donald Trump.
Are we going down this path right now?
No, stop.
Um, it is, I'm gonna say it's temporary. I think our brains are a lot like operating systems. If you wanna undo it, you just have to download a new one, upload a new one. It's our internal voices, we can be so mean to ourselves, and a lot of times it can just be the environment that we were in growing up or that you're currently in right now. And once you open yourself up to different environments and be very intentional about your growth, you can really reprogram the way that you think and view the world. And it's incredibly doable. And that's kind of what I've done with ChatGPT.
Yeah. I kind of align it with the idea of when you love someone, your children,
Mhm.
a spouse, or whoever, they're human. They make mistakes. They do things that make you angry, but you choose to love them anyway. It's a very intentional choice that we make. But we often don't give ourselves the same grace. And so I think it's like this, the mindset shift is to choose to intentionally love ourselves, which means we give ourselves grace when we mess up and seeing failure as opportunity rather than, you know, a failure.
Yeah.
Failure is just, now I know it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Let's try a different way. And in entrepreneurship, that's so important because we're going to misstep a bunch of times before we figure out the right formula. So that's my analogy for
Yeah.
uh,
I like
loving
that.
yourself is we're so good at loving other people and giving them grace. You know, our kids do things over and over and over again, but we still love them. But for some reason, we have this thing where we can't do that for us.
Oh, our third eye, we are so mean to ourselves, so incredibly mean to ourselves. Yeah, that I've been my biggest bully all of my life, and, once I recognized that, I just kinda shut her out, and she still comes back here and there, but that internal voice that tells me that I can't do certain things or that I'm not good enough or that I'm failing as a mom or that I'm being selfish, it's I think it's all of us, men, women, um, and they're all lies. They're all lies. And once you stop believing those lies, like, you can accomplish so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, I don't, what's the worst thing that can happen? I mean,
What
you
is the
know,
worst? You look stupid to
yeah.
who? Those who aren't even trying?
The older that I get, the less I care about how stupid I look. So,
Yeah.
what are 1 or 2 actionable takeaways that you want listeners to remember about today's episode?
Getting started with ChatGPT does or AI does not have to be complicated, or it doesn't require like a 3-month course or a certificate. It literally is just as simple as downloading it and just starting with a, "Hey, I'm stuck. Help me get unstuck." It's as simple as
Yeah,
that. And once you do that, then it'll open up
well, on
so many
steroids.
possibilities.
Yeah, I used to Google a lot, and now it's ChatGPT.
Same,
Yeah, I
same.
don't search anything on Google anymore because I get so much more out of ChatGPT.
You have to filter through all that noise. It's like ChatGPT and any of these like tools,
Great.
they do it for you. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's a time savings right there.
that's a huge takeaway. So tell us more about what you're doing at Waggle and how a solopreneur, entrepreneur, small business owner can connect with you and learn more about how to use AI in their business.
I am holding monthly workshops with solopreneurs. I will have hot seats where I'll do live coaching and mentorship where I kind of guide folks through digital transformations and get unstuck with business problems. I'm kicking that off actually tomorrow on my AI anniversary. Everybody else's who joins. And I'm still doing that power hours right now where it's one-on-one individual time. And On the system side of things, I have an agency where I do custom AI systems for established businesses that are AI driven, and it helps you grow and scale your business without increasing overhead.
Awesome. So it's Waggle,
Not AI.
WAGGLE.ai. Diana Lee, thank you so much for being here and
Thank
sharing
you.
all your wisdom with us.
Thank you, Bethany, for having me, and thank you, everyone.